Well, good morning, mighty mini truckers. And once again, we're back here on our channel.
Samson, the mighty Sambar.
And hey, if you're new to the channel, we want to give you a big shout out and say welcome and a big howdy do. And if you're a subscriber to the channel, hey, thanks, folks. Because without you folks, we would not be here. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing today. I'm Tom, your humble and modest host here on the channel. And well, Samson, he's actually out in the driveway. He's all covered up. He's like what we call here in the South. He's snug as a bug in a rug, still getting his beauty rest. You know, these stars, they're a little bit pretentious. We're a little partial to the Subaru Sambar mini truck, but of course this channel is dedicated to all Japanese K trucks. We're here to provide you with information such as tips and tricks on how to repair and maintain your vehicle, along with adding equipment to your vehicle, you name it. We're all about the K truck. So if you already own one of these K trucks, or you're new to the community, or if you're looking to purchase one of these trucks and become part of the community, you've come to the right place. Now, on our previous channel where we did the walk around of Samson and went over his specifications, some of his equipment, I also mentioned some of the repairs that I would like to make to Samson. And in that video, we took a look at the front passenger seat, the seat bottom, and that seat bottom, the threading has pulled out in one of the areas where one of the seams is. So today, what we're going to discuss and what we're going to repair is that damaged seam. Now, when I say we're going to repair it, I'm going to try my best to make it functional. Because like they say, I'm one of those that's the jack of all trades, but the master of none. So it's going to be functional. It may not look pretty, but at least it's going to be functional. We'll probably in the future replace or reupholster those seat covers in Samson, but right now we've got some other things we'd like to do to Samson that require a little bit more money. So until then, it's going to be functional. Okay, now that we've gotten that out of the way, folks, just sit back and relax and grab that favorite cup of joe or whatever drink you consume in the morning to get yourself up and going. So let's buckle up and let's go. Before we go out and remove the passenger side seat cushion from Samson, I figured we'd go over some of the tools that we're going to be using to make that repair. Now, in order to take the seat out, or the seat bottom out, you have to remove, I think it's 4 or 5 screws that actually hold that seat bottom to the frame, the seat frame. And in order to do that, you can either use, of course, a socket wrench with a socket. But what I'm going to use instead is my handy dandy electric drill. Just makes things go a little bit quicker. Next, what I'm going to use are these nice hooked needles. Okay, they're upholstery needle, or you can also use them for leather work. What we're going to use is a 3-inch needle here. Since I can't remove that upholstery from the actual seat in order to make the repair, I'm going to have to do it with one of these needles. Okay, next, what we're going to use are these straight pins. Like any sewing that you do, especially like on a sewing machine, a lot of times use the straight pins to hold that seam in place. Well, we're going to do the same thing with this upholstery. And we'll slide those in, hook those in, and hold that seam in place. Now, as far as the thread that we're going to use, I'm not going to actually use upholstery thread. I've already got this on hand. I actually use this to make some sheaths, some knife sheaths. What this is waxed nylon sinew. It's a little bit thinner, so probably what I'll end up doing is wrapping that up, or at least doubling it up so we can get a little bit tighter seal. Here we are out at Samson, and here's that passenger side seat bottom. And as you can see right here is where that seam is ripping out. I'd say it's already ripped out almost all the way out. Just a little bit left over on this side and a little bit on that side. Anyway, I came out a little bit earlier just to go ahead and see what we're going to have to deal with. And actually, I was a little bit off on how many screws there are. There actually are 4 screws, but in order to get to those 4 screws, if you look back here, as you can see, there's the 4 screws actually hold the bracket in. I had to go ahead and remove the tray that was back there, and there's 4 other screws that you have to remove out of there, so there's a total of 8. No big deal. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and remove those, and we'll go ahead and get the seat out. And it looks like they've got the carpet. I was going to say, I'm going to remove all this and go ahead and get some of this trash out, which eventually I'm going to. But it looks like they've got it kind of glued in. Yeah, they've got it glued down. So anyway, we'll get a vacuum cleaner and go ahead and clean out that and wipe that area down before we put the seat back in. Okay, now that we have the seat out of Samson, and we've got it up here on the table, I'm going to go ahead and take these brackets off. All it's holding these in place are a 10 millimeter bolt. So all we're going to do is remove those and remove these black brackets. That way I can take the seat back off, and that'll give me a lot more access to the seat bottom so I can go ahead and make those repairs. Okay, let's get these out of the way. Okay. So next all you have to do is just pull that out away from that seat, like so. And the other side will just slip on out, it should. Yep, there we go. Okay. Go ahead and move this off to the side. Okay, so here we have a little bit more easier access to get to that seam there, okay? Right now, I've gone ahead and done a couple of trial stitches just to see how this would work, and I found out that the straight pins, these little straight pins, they're not going to hold this, and it's so rigid as far as the upholstery fabric is so rigid that it actually holds up fairly well by itself. So what I've learned, okay, is I've got the 4-inch needle right here, the 4-inch curved needle. It's a little bit thicker. So what I'm doing is I'm actually poking it through first. Now, I'm using a pair of needle nose pliers to hold this and to shove that in. Now I'm holding it out probably about 1/8 of an inch from the seam, and I'm pushing straight down. That creates a little bit of a hole, bigger hole, okay? And pretty much what I'm doing is I'm feeding through this hole and then coming back on this side. So I'm actually coming over about another 1/8 of an inch next to this hole or this thread feed, okay? I'm going to punch another hole right there. That's about 1/8 of an inch. Like I said, this isn't pretty, guys and gals. It's not looking too pretty, but once you tighten it up, okay? Now, the one thing you want to make sure is that you've got enough thread. As you can see, I've got a ton of thread here. I learned early on that anytime you do anything like this, you need to get more thread than less, for sure. And you kind of want to keep it out of your way. Now, this is the 3-inch curved one that we had. Now, I found that I had to bend this a little bit to make it more curved like a fish hook almost in order to get it to feed, because really once you punch it through, now it's a little bit thinner. I don't know what gauge that is. It's probably, I don't know, who knows. Anyway, once you punch that through, and I'll show you why, get my needle nose pliers here and get it hooked up. You want to make sure you get a good grip on that, okay? Now we're going to go right down in that hole, okay? And as soon as you do that, you want to start feeding this smaller, the 3-inch. Now, I'm feeling where it is. Now, be careful. Because, man, once this thing comes through, it comes through at a pretty Now I'm having to back it out a little bit. I'm trying to feel where that hole is. And we're about there. And nope, came back out on me. See if we can get it up. A lot of times you got to get that needle up just a little bit higher. Sometimes you got to get that hole. It says it's trial and error with this, and you got to have a lot of patience. Oh, no, that's not where I want it. Come on now. I'm talking to it, hoping that it'll feed through by itself, right? See, that's where it is now. Now I've got to bring it back. There we go. Now, a little bit further back. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my 2 fingers here and try to get it to force through there. There we go. And just kind of twist that up. There we go. It'll feed right through there. Now take your needle nose pliers and grab that end. Now don't hit the tip. Just pull it on through, okay? Then we're gonna get that on through there. Got a little bit of like I said, this isn't going to look pretty, but maybe it'll hold it a little bit longer so it doesn't keep tearing and ripping the stitch out. Just keep feeding it through. Yeah, I may have gotten a little bit too much of the sinew. Okay, then just pull that sucker tight. And make sure you get it tight, get it set down in there. And you can see it's all stitched up there. Let's try that one more time. And then after that, to save some time on the video, I'll go ahead and finish it up and we'll show you what the end product looks like. One of the things I forgot to mention is once you crisscross, you make yourself a little loop when you pull it, okay? And then pass that needle right back through there. Basically what we're doing is we're going to be tying that. That makes it a little bit more sturdy and it makes it tight, because you don't want this thing to pull out on you. Okay. All right. See how tight that is? Of course, almost too tight. Here we go. Folks, well, that finishes up the stitching or restitching of Samson's seat bottom. As you can see, it's nothing pretty, but it is tight as it can be, and it should not come loose anytime soon. So that should keep us from having to reupholster the seats anytime soon. At least give us that chance to go ahead and get some different equipment or some other equipment on Samson that's going to make him a lot better for handling the terrain up here in the North Carolina mountains. So anyway, we'll get the seat put back together, and then we'll put the seat back in Samson, and he'll be ready to roll. All right. All right, folks. Now that we've got Samson's seat put back together, back inside the cab, that pretty much concludes the repair of that front passenger seat bottom. Yeah, the stitching isn't all that great. As Mama says, I'll never be a saddleman. But anyway, it's not pretty, but it's functional, and that's all we want. We just want something that's going to hold. Probably the stitch will hold longer than the actual upholstery will, but like I said, hopefully that'll give some time to get some other things done on Samson that we want to get finished up without having to expend money on getting the upholstery done. All right, folks, so that concludes our restitching and repairing of Samson's passenger side seat bottom. In our next video, we're going to go ahead and take a look at Samson's front bumper. It's got some sun damage and some fading going on, and we're going to go ahead and recondition that bumper instead of repainting it. I've done this in the past, but I'll go over the method and the products that I use to recondition the bumper and bring it back to almost brand new shape. I just think it looks a lot better. If you have a comment or a question, or if there's a subject or a topic you would like for us to address and discuss on the channel, just leave your comments in the comments section below and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Well, hopefully you learned something new here on the channel today. And if you like the contents of the video, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button. Samson and I are trying to grow this channel, and you can help us do that by subscribing to the channel. And if you don't want to miss out on any of our newest videos, don't forget to ring that notification bell. So folks, thank you once again for dropping in and checking the channel out. As Samson and I always say, get outside, enjoy the great outdoors, be safe, and happy trails. Ciao.